Hello, my name is Kai and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And today I want to talk about beauty. There's a quote by Toni Morrison, and it goes, "At some point in life, the world's beauty becomes enough. You don't need to photograph, paint, or even remember it. It is enough." This is a great quote. It struck me with its truth, especially from my perspective. I very strongly believe that. I do take photographs, I do take videos, and I do remember many things, but I don't think you need to worry about any of that because the beauty of the world is enough. Tony's dang right. And I haven't read enough of Toni Morrison's work. I think I only read Beloved in high school, and that might be it, actually. But so many great writers I've listened to give interviews on podcasts or wherever mention Toni Morrison or specifically talk about Toni Morrison for a long time as their favorite author. And even when I read it in high school, even 20 years ago, I remember the prose being unparalleled, being completely unmatched. So I will have to go back and read some of her work again. I do have a very deep reading list, but now I can say Toni Morrison is on that list because after I heard two people in a row talk about Toni Morrison in a very exalting manner, and I believed them, and then I came across this quote a few days after, or maybe I came across this quote first, and then right after I read the quote, and it really resonated with me, I heard these two authors and smart-sounding people, I want to be one of those, talk about Toni Morrison, and how much she meant to their lives, and their own writing, and their own understanding of the world. And I really resonate with this quote, "It is enough," because I do think that eventually most people get to that point. And even if they aren't aware of it consciously, this world is enough. It is enough. I think everybody, after some point, knows that this is enough. Whatever they choose to do with that knowledge, disregard it, or manipulate it to their own very strong habits of perception. They know that when they look at a river and they see that river moving down, just watching water rush downhill, I feel like you know that is true. That the world's beauty is enough. You don't need to photograph, paint, or remember it. The world's beauty is enough. Maybe that's why everybody loves staring into the center of a campfire. It perfectly represents that beauty being enough, that beauty of the natural world. That makes perfect sense to me. And it's why spending a day in a hammock in a forest certainly does not seem like a waste to me. We're all living mortal lives, and when I'm around nature, sitting in a hammock or watching a river, I feel as about complete and fulfilled as I ever have. And I felt it before I owned my own school. I felt it before I wrote anything, before I started this podcast. I felt it, but as I've mentioned, I sort of pushed it to the side. I was like, this is perfect. But I also have these exciting goals and achievements I want to reach, or status symbols, or whatever. But once I had achieved enough for me to be satisfied, that was still there. The world's beauty being enough was still there. And I feel it always when I'm walking around at night and the world is asleep, but the trees are all alive and the streets are quiet and there's a cat walking proudly along the sidewalk. That's amazing to see. It's amazing that I'm here to witness that scene. It's amazing that cats have been domesticated in such a long history, and humans live alongside animals. Not a lot of them. We're pretty picky, pretty choosy about which animals we allow to live within our civilization, but there are dogs and cats, like different kinds. It's crazy. And I can walk by a pond and see turtles. I can stare at leaves in the canopy, tree canopies moving for a very long time before. Whenever I look up and I just stare at the canopy above me and the sun glinting through it, I have to stop looking at it and keep moving. It's never like, I've looked at that enough. I don't need to look at leaves anymore. No, it's always like, well, I could do this all day, but I should start getting back. Or I should continue on the hike. There are more leaves. I also think that traveling has allowed me to reach the point of acceptance in the world where it is enough. And I've always been particularly aware of where I am in my life, how old I am, how much time I have left, what's going on around me, how the people are all acting around me, how the cities are changing. I pay attention to a lot of these things, but I wasn't sure why. And I think part of that why is to become comfortable with the whole world, and part of it is that I was recognizing the infinite complex beauty of the world and trying to resolve my place within the world. And traveling, I mean, it affords so many moments of introspection and reflection, casual or focused, deliberate or incidental. There's a lot of waiting in traveling, especially the way that I'm recommending people travel, well within their means. If you're making passive or earned income $500 to $1,000 a month, you can travel indefinitely right now. You have been able to for, as far as I know, the past 15 years. All those costs have been pretty constant. Right now, 2025, there are still apartments for $150 per month and less on popular booking apps like Airbnb. Those are just facts. Those are by the numbers. That's what's going on in September 2025. That could change at any moment. In the same way, right now, I'm very grateful for and enjoying my body and the health of my body. That can change at any moment on any day. I could wake up and something could be wrong. Right now, I'm happily healthy, but who knows how long that lasts. Right now, and for the past 15 years, indefinite travel has been available for less than $500 USD per month. Now, you don't have to do that. You shouldn't feel obligated to travel just because I love traveling myself. If you aren't, or you don't want to, that's totally fine. But having it there, I think, is really important, because if you are living for $150 a month, if you're making $500 USD a month or more, as soon as you start traveling, you will be struck, especially for you US Americans, how much time you have. It's crazy. Now, smartphones are making that difficult because their whole point is to draw and absorb your attention, as in take it away from you. So that's your time. That's your time and attention. And I play on my phone all the time. I'm on it a lot. But if you can live for $500 a month, that's very little work you actually have to do. If you're the online English teacher, it's 20 hours a week or so. Oh no, I guess that's only 10 hours a week at the very most. So 10 hours a week, you have enough money to live in most countries indefinitely. Just teaching English online for 10 hours a week. And once you are traveling abroad, once anyone decides to start traveling abroad for those prices, it's just, there's so much free time. You have so much time to look at the world and meditate on it, consciously or unconsciously. Its natural beauty is undeniable. And I think for me, after I absorbed the natural beauty and accepted and appreciated the natural beauty everywhere, every single country. I started absorbing the beauty of humans within this world also, because I'm usually traveling in an urban environment when I'm not backpacking between cities. Most of my time is spent around other people, and previously I highly valued nature over humanity, rather than reconciling the two. But eventually, seeing humans as part of nature and recognizing humanity as a living artifact, in 10,000 years, who knows what the surface of the earth is going to look like, what the history of humanity is going to read. So right now, I'm living in some remarkable moment in time where there are billions of people on the planet. And that does not mean I'm not outraged by horrors or atrocities or injustices, or that I don't care about political reform. This quote is specifically referring to the appreciation of the undeniable beauty in the world, which I completely agree with. And whether I'm walking through one of the Thai jungles, and there's bugs and snakes and just beautiful greenery and lakes and waterfalls, so many waterfalls in Thailand, or I'm walking down placed cobblestones down a hill and there's a weed growing out of the curb, there is beauty in both of those places. The waterfalls are easier to recognize, but the system, the complex history and interplay of life that has led to that weed popping out of that curb is fascinating. Not to mention the cobblestones I'm walking down the hill on. Why do they have cobblestones on this road? Oh, I see. It's so steep that vehicles will slide down during any rain if there aren't cobblestones to create the friction to keep vehicles from sliding down a crazy steep hill. Everything is connected, and everything is based on what came before. And when I can see that, it's fascinating. That's why so often I'll just walk around when I get to a new place, when I get to any place, when I get to a place I've been before, even if it's not new. When I land there and I start absorbing the world around me, I try to stay aware of as much as I can. The languages people use, the actions, gestures they use to each other, conscious or unconscious. The life cycle of the day. When are people awake and in bed? When are the animals awake? How does the whole place, how does this city feel when it's nighttime versus when it's daytime? Are street vendors allowed? Are the streets paved? Why not? Why? How friendly are people? Why? Every country has so many wars, but some countries are way friendlier than other countries. That's just straight up true. It's fascinating, and so the whole time I'm anywhere, I am paying attention, and I just let my brain and awareness pick out puzzle pieces, or rather distinguish the edges of puzzle pieces, and try to put them together so that I have a little more understanding of the world. Because every time I can see the world a little bit clearer, that beauty that Toni Morrison is talking about becomes more apparent. That acceptance of the world as enough, how it is fascinating, and it only gets more fascinating the more I learn. Taking joy in the simple pleasures. I've always been very good at that. I luxuriate in good prose in a book. Like I said, I'll stare at a tree canopy for 10 minutes without even bothering to wonder what time it is or how long I've been doing it. The simple pleasures are very kind to me. Or when I'm talking to someone, I'm fascinated when I talk to pretty much anyone, because how their body moves, I can tell how present they are in this conversation, or how absent they are, but they think they are present in this conversation, but they're thinking about something else, or they haven't been part of a conversation for a very long time, maybe, because their life is preoccupying their awareness, and they don't even realize that their awareness is being stripped away or pulled away, or how they grew up. I and a friend can be sitting in the same place, having the same conversation for an hour, but we are living in different dimensions because they grew up here in this culture and I grew up in that culture. And so when I say the word winnowing, or silver is a lot better, when I say silver, I think of something like coins. They might immediately think of a key because keys are very important in some famous work of literature. And now they're thinking about keys and the doors that can be opened with keys. And I'm thinking about amassing wealth. But none of these systems are arbitrary or important, really. They're not more important than any other. They are a lens to the world. And each of them is beautiful and connected. Everything is connected and everything is shaping how everything else is all the time. This fantastic, complex web of life that includes the stones and the trees and that cat I mentioned. And sneakers. Everything is connected to huge, vast, complex, beautiful systems of the world. And everything always has been. And will be until it becomes nothing or everything again. The stars, the heavens, are a great example because they're such a cliche that when you look up at the stars, if you've never really seen them unbridled by light pollution, which most people have not, because most people live in habitated, civilized areas where they've built up street lamps, or there's a 24/7 convenience store. And you don't need a lot of light for light pollution, and it goes for a long way. But it's a cliche, the stars, their brilliance, their transcendence, because if you have ever seen an unfettered view of the night sky, just like the canopy of leaves, but much more than leaves, it's overwhelming. There are thousands and thousands of stars right above you, and without the glow of a human-based light, or any non-celestial light, their complex colors and twinkling and shapes are indescribably significant. They hit you right in the soul. And imagine if you're living in a place without light pollution. There are some cities that have specific legal requirements so that light pollution doesn't get in the way of every night seeing the Milky Way above you, seeing the stars, the heavens hanging up there above you. Every single horrible thing happening on the earth right now does absolutely nothing to negate those stars, the galaxy we're suspended within. That thing is there. It's immutable for the moment. And it can be recognized. Just like the existence of those $150 apartments you can go live in. You can go to a place, find those dark sky maps online, and go to a place where you can see this celestial glory nightly. And if you live in the city, seeing that weed poking out of a curb, how deep are its roots? Are there a colony of weeds living under that slab of concrete? What type of plant is that? How far can I trace its genealogy back to which continent? Does it only exist in the mountains? Has it always only existed in the mountains? What animals eat it? How is it still here? There are so many questions and fascinating answers. Why don't I think that weed looks as pretty as if it were a flower? Wait, is it pretty? If I lean closer, what I thought was fuzz is actually a spiral. That's pretty cool. When I'm walking down a cobblestone street, I am thinking about those cobblestones and what their purpose is, who put them there, when they put them there, how that person's life went for that person. And then I see the weed and I'm wondering about that. and I can see a woman and her child at the window of a bakery reaching for a cake, the way that kid moves, the way that child points and smiles at a piece of bread that they don't even understand what they're pointing at. They're little kids they just know they're supposed to choose something, and then their parent should listen to them. That's a fascinating, beautiful behavior. It's an example of life flourishing. The way the parent looks down at their child. The two of them simply walking down the sidewalk, before or after, or when they're both staring at the case. The case itself is marvelous. Everything is so marvelous. Whether I'm on top of a mountain, or I'm walking down those cobblestones, or I'm helping someone carry a mattress home, the ache in my muscles and the wind on my cheek, the feel of the ground under my thin-soled shoes, I know I'm alive and I have this extra moment in which to view the beauty of the world, in which to appreciate, via simple sensation and awareness, the world around me. Mountains in the distance, streams in the middle of a city. Are there any fish in that stream? A hiking trail through a tropical rainforest? The pond I saw recently with like 50, 100 turtles maybe? There were so many turtles, it was crazy. It's easier to connect with the beauty of the world when it's aesthetically beautiful, like a lake full of 100 turtles in a tropical rainforest. But I always have that subtle low hum of appreciation going on, regardless of what I'm doing. This, right, my moment sitting here talking to you, the shape of the microphone, the feel of the bed that I'm sitting on, everything, the hinges of my work table, this is all fascinating, beautiful existence. And I don't know if Toni Morrison only meant the natural world, in which case you would be perfectly correct. It's undeniably beautiful, every single part of the natural world, even the violent, big cats eating clip-cloppy deers. Beautiful system. The outlines of their teeth, it's all a fascinating, beautiful system. It's the evolutionary process that separated predators and prey in the first place. It's just all fascinating and endlessly beautiful. But I think if she was talking about only the natural world or not, I don't know exactly where that quote is from. It would probably give me perfect context, but I haven't looked it up yet. But even if we include that made by man, arguably the least natural or most artificial of the world's creations, I am convinced that is equally beautiful in a completely different way, in a creative way. Now, the horrors and atrocities I mentioned are not beautiful, but the world exists and is beautiful in the same way that those stars above us are not going anywhere no matter what we do to each other down here. And this is not just idle awareness or amusement by the world around you. I think recognizing the beauty of the complex system that the world is extremely valuable, especially today, when beauty is deliberately misunderstood or presented and commodified. My own understanding of what beauty is and the depth of my appreciation for every level of what beauty is in this world, that is everything, I think is particularly saving or redemptive. If I didn't remind myself how wondrous sidewalks are, or bridges, how amazing bridges are, there are a lot of things that could steal my attention and catch me in a depressive loop. But especially while I'm traveling, and I have basically all day free time to absorb and learn about the world and appreciate the world, I am kept afloat. It's easy to look at some filtered social media model and say, pretty girl, beautiful. But whatever about that picture you find beautiful, a soul shard of that beauty also exists in the spiral stems of a weed poking out of cracked asphalt. Those are not entirely divorced concepts of beauty, because they're part of the same system. That girl eats something, either eats plants or animals, and either way the animals eat plants, so she's eating plants in some fashion or another. And every weed in the world is providing context for most of the other life on the planet. The beautiful person might make it easier for you to temporarily see beauty in and of itself, as you recognize a certain type of biological beauty. But the grass and the asphalt itself, the work that went into it, the design, just that, the shape itself. Why are sidewalks all curved to some extent? It's pleasant. Why? Not sure, but we know it's pleasant. Maybe it's less dangerous. The slow and inevitable decay of that urban system, despite the amount of effort put into maintenance every year, every month. The people driving the bulldozers flattening the road so that millions of people can use it, so that millions of people can experience the world as they are choosing to experience it. The families of those people at home, that connectedness. Someone can be driving an hour to work every day, and their web of love extends all the way back to their family and all their family members. And maybe in front of them, to their friends at work, or the people around them driving with them, all part of one vast system that by itself is really nothing, even if you take the entire city into the account. There are countless cities around the world, and the inhabitants of those cities each are thinking at the same time, are aware that this is life. And while they're right, it is one grain of sand on the beach of life. The beach is also life. And if you can keep that, if I can keep that in my mind, that whatever awareness I am lucky enough to have right now, I am perceiving a grain of sand on the beach of existence. The beach is always going to be beautiful. That massive, massive system of experiences and interconnectedness is endlessly fascinating to me. Because I'm not going to be able to see every grain of sand on that beach. And I haven't even mentioned the waves yet. There are waves at the beach also, and an entire ocean. That's why I want to do cryonics. I want to do cryonics so I can keep experiencing this beauty in an expanding awareness and appreciation of the infinite of the infinite. If you took all of that infinite complexity of the world that shouldn't be able to support itself when you look at each concept discretely or each object discretely, but every moment that it exists is proving that it can and does coexist with everything else in the universe, that is beautiful. That's stunning. And it's happening right now, while you are listening to me try to explain transcendental beauty. It's around you right now, surrounding you. The shape of all things is beautiful. Your perception of them is beautiful. It's fascinating to me how this world even is here. And the fact that I am here looking at it, that's how improbable is it that I get to be here right now experiencing this world the way that I am. That's why seize the day. That's why go live where you want to live. Go live abroad for $150 a month. Save money, get some passive income, do what you want to do because you are here briefly and you should live your life to the fullest. You should appreciate your life as much as you possibly can. Because it's amazing that you are here and that I am here and that we are all here. That is very unlikely, but it happened, and here we are. And so many things here are beautiful. Do those step waterfalls from Thailand I mentioned sound cool? Go bathe in step waterfalls in Thailand. That's when there's a waterfall at the top, and then there's like 7 pockets underneath it scattered, and each one flows into the next pocket. So you have like 7, 9, 11, 17 waterfalls in a row down a cliffside. And you can go into them because the Thai people like them, and they usually carve stairs up to each one. And a lot of them have those doctor fish, they say, that I think they call them doctor fish. I can't remember the Thai word right now. And they like scrape the dead skin off your feet, and they'll like eat that. If that doesn't sound good, you can go to the ones without the fish. But that was a bizarre experience when I went to one of those. A naturally occurring doctor fish pond. Don't recommend it. Too weird. The doctor fish were too big, and it kind of freaked me out that they were nibbling on my toes. But I only found them in one waterfall. All the other ones were just water, cascading down into natural stone basins down a cliff face. So much fun. So cool to swim in those waterfall basins. Like, go to the waterfalls. What are you more satisfied with your life now than splashing around in those crystal clear Thai step waterfalls for free? Most of them are free. It's only a very few that cost any money, but most of the step waterfalls in Thailand are free. If you are not yet aware of the beauty all around you, or rather that everything around you is as beautiful as you think some things can be, I would encourage you just to stretch your mind around the idea that beauty is more bountiful than should be expected. It's perfectly natural not to think there's beauty anywhere because of the horrible things, especially we'll read on the news. But every single awful thing in the news is a small pocket in the entire rest of existence. And every one of those atrocities are very important, just like appreciating the beauty of the world is very important. Now, I don't study every weed on the side of the road, and there are grander examples of natural beauty that will fill your being up with gratitude for life, in the same way that some songs may make you cry, or other songs don't. There are things that naturally resonate with different people. The peak of a mountain always unlocks that appreciation for me. Running water, watching an animal do anything when it's unaware of me, or when it is aware of me. That's all fascinating to me. That clicks the spark in my soul. Helping people when I can do good. When the sun is behind the clouds, but I can still kind of see it, tracking it across a cloud, and I know it's going to come out again. Climbing Huashan in China at night with my friends. This huge, dangerous mountain. Seeing the hand of Buddha in Huashan. A massive, massive hand. Maybe, 30 meters tall, 20 wide. It's huge. It looks like a palm. A thumb, 4 fingers, and the palm of a giant. Because the marble on that mountain just happens to be exposed on that face, that cliff face. And nowhere else. There's trees and grass everywhere else, but there are 4 fingers and a palm and a thumb of granite on the side of that mountain. And it looks like a giant just smashed his hand there with a kung fu strike. And you can go see that in Huashan. It's fascinating. And it was nighttime, so the moonlight made it more stark because it was only the moonlight bouncing off the white granite. The absolutely nothing I saw in Japan that turned into a deer that leapt away like it was flying up a mountainside. I knew it was running, but I couldn't even distinguish its leaps. It looked like a fish swimming up a river, and then it was gone. And I just got this short few seconds to appreciate the movement of this deer. Realizing that I love a girl that I had been dating, at that moment, when I realized I loved her, fascinating, beautiful, amazing. What a strong realization. What an overwhelming point of self-awareness I wanted to share with her, and I got to. How incredibly fortunate. That is wonderful. And then being in a relationship with someone for years? I don't mind if relationships don't last forever, because nothing does. That's fine. Change is constant. I appreciate every single day that I am happy with someone else. I know that it might not last forever. I know it could last for the rest of my life. I don't know which one's going to happen. So I greatly appreciate each moment I get. That shard sliding into place soul completeness I can feel when I do feel it. Just the fact that I'm feeling that content with another human being. How lucky am I? How could I possibly appreciate this moment and this feeling enough? That's what I think of when I read Toni Morrison's quote. It is enough. You don't need to photograph, paint, or even remember it. Because at some point in life, the world's beauty becomes enough. And once you start recognizing that beauty, you're going to see it more and more, and then the world is going to be more apparently beautiful. So it is a skill that you can practice, and I think is very valuable. Now, it doesn't have to be a skill, and you don't have to practice it, but that perception is available to us. Helen Keller found it, and she was deaf, dumb, and blind, so you're probably in a much less rickety boat than she was, and she loved the world. Perception plays a pretty key role if Helen Keller was able to appreciate the world as much as she did. If you're lucky enough to be able to talk, or have your eyesight, or your hearing, or your sense of smell or taste, you've got one up on Helen. Be happy for it. The point where I realized I didn't need to work for anyone else again. For the rest of as soon as I started teaching English, I was like, oh, okay, so I never have to work for anyone else again. I just get to work as much as I want to. All of these houses around me are $100 a month. I make that in 2 days, working 3 hours a day. I can spend the rest of that week doing what I want to. I can spend the rest of my month, the year, my life doing what I want to. When I realized I didn't need to work because I was lucky enough to be born into a native English-speaking country, that was also a fascinating, beautiful discovery for me. When the shackles of capitalism fell from me and the blindfold was taken off my eyes, that was pretty satisfying in and of itself. Because I knew I would just be able to experience more. I would be able to devote my awareness to the beauty around me more. When a student hugged me the first time, I still remember her. Star, one of my little students, I was teaching kids. This might have been it must have been my first year. And she stayed after all of the rest of the kids had left the classroom. And she whispered something to her parents who were standing there. And the parents told me that Star asked them if she could hug me. And I was always really supportive of Star because she was super shy and had a very difficult time speaking. But I could understand her well enough, and I knew when she was saying the right thing or saying the wrong thing, even if she was very, very scared of speaking. And when she said the right thing, I said, yes, good, great work. And when she said the wrong thing, I told her, no, it's this. And then she said the right thing. And from the beginning of the year, when she could barely say a syllable, to the end of, maybe that might have just been one semester. By the end of the semester, if at the very most year, but I'm pretty sure it was the first semester, she was one of the fastest kids in class. She raised her hand and answered the flashcards, and she could repeat better than most kids in the class, and she had so much more confidence. It was amazing. And then one day she asked her parents if she could hug me after class, and they asked me if that was all right. And I was from the US, and the US is really weird about kids in general. I mean, relative to other countries. In other countries, it's pretty acceptable for a student to hug their teacher, especially if their parents are around and it's, a public place. But I feel like in the US, you'd be convicted for whatever they decide to throw away the key. But these two parents were so happy, and yeah, they said, thank you, can Star hug you? And I was like, yeah. And Star came up and I knelt down, she gave me a hug, and it was like an explosion of satisfaction and being appreciated. I was being directly appreciated from someone. It probably would have been the same if an adult had asked me if they could give me a hug after I helped them with something. It's so wonderful to affect someone's life positively to the point that they are appreciating the world more. Star didn't look like she had a good time in the beginning of the semester. She was crying to her parents a lot, and sometimes she didn't speak at all for the whole class, and I was like, that's okay. Every time she says anything, I'll support her. And then, like I said, by the end, she was a great student. Her parents were happy. And because she's having a better time in class, all the kids are having a better time in class. They're feeding off that positivity and support from each other, that engagement in the world. That was another moment of natural beauty when this child asked to give me a hug because she had such a good time in class and she was appreciating life more. And her parents explained a lot of that to me, her confidence and everything. When she got back home, it was now when she practiced English, she was excited too. Yeah, that was a moment of beauty in the world that I got to experience even more directly than most others that I can experience from afar. Winning the Beijing Dance Contest? Did that episode come out yet? I hope that comes out soon. Winning the Beijing Dance Contest was insane. These unparalleled, unique moments in the world, in my particular existence, so I get to experience them. Fascinating. And I'm just one tiny molecule in a grain of sand all around me. I know there are countless other people and animals and people-animals experiencing moments like I am. They get to experience the beauty of the world as I have done, and nothing is equal. We're not experiencing the same moments. We're not experiencing the same number of moments. But for what I can do to support and encourage people, when I was walking down the road off of a mountain I hiked the other day, there were motorbikes going down it, and there was a slab of a pretty big piece of concrete right in the middle of the road, and I walked past it, and then I walked back up and picked it up and moved it off to the side of the road, so that no one would accidentally hit it if anybody wasn't paying attention. Who knows, 1,000 bikes could have ridden by, but if one of them hit that pretty large white, so it was faded in with the dust around it, even though it was raised like 6 inches off the ground, it would be easy to miss and run into, and someone could get hurt. Even just trying to make things better is beautiful, and it feels good. It's very important to develop this skill in seeing beauty everywhere, or rather this ability to see beauty everywhere. And I say develop rather than learn, because we all have it innately. You appreciate something. That is your recognition of beauty, but the more you expand your mind, the more you expand your awareness and appreciation, the more you'll be able to appreciate. So you're just expanding your skill, your ability to appreciate beauty in the world, because you only have so much time, and the beauty is there, and in multitudes, in places you never would have expected, in places I certainly never expected. And the better I get at seeing that beauty, the more beautiful my life feels. The more I appreciate everything around me, and the more I appreciate every second that I have, the more I can prioritize my life more clearly, because I know how valuable my life really is. It's so valuable that I won't give my time to things that I do not think reward me spiritually, which is a very vague word I probably shouldn't use because it doesn't mean anything. But if I don't think an activity or experience is valuable in some way, I won't do it. And this is directly tied hand in hand to when I taught English for the first time, and I was like, holy crap, I was born at this moment in history in a native English-speaking country, and just because of that, I never have to do a task for somebody else that I don't think is inherently valuable. I don't have to deliver packages or work in a warehouse, make sandwiches. I don't have to be the boss of a restaurant and tell people what to do, even though I don't care how many croutons go in the salad. I'm enforcing the profit margins of someone else. That's not a positive experience, and I just happen to be a native English speaker right now, so I don't have to ever do that again. That was, like I said, blindfold away from the eye, shackles from the wrists. Here I am, I'm free now. What do I want to do since I am free not to do a job I don't want to? And then I found out about the price of housing, $150 a month, $300 for your own place often. And I was like, oh, I don't even have to work that hard to $500 USD per month, and I can travel indefinitely. So that's what I wanted. I want to work until I'm making $150 per month. And after I do that, then I'll work on other things. And that has eventually become this project. I've been thinking about podcasting. I had a podcast before. It was awful because, well, there are plenty of reasons it was awful. But I've been thinking of telling these stories more widely for a very long time. And I had a lot of time, and I've used that very well, and now I'm at the point that I would like to tell these stories to a broader audience. And here we are, and I have the time to do that. Beauty isn't only physically apparent. It isn't the shape of something, but how everything fits into everything else. And it can be just, like I said, running water. I love watching running water. Or maybe you love watching waves on the beach. But what is a wave without the ocean? What is that bend in the river? It's all connected to every other part of itself. And all of that is connected to everything outside of itself. Every part contributes to the beauty of everything else around us. It isn't the surface of a river that's beautiful, but the fact that the entire river exists. That there's an ecosystem within it, an eddied sheen on the surface, pebbles on the ground, banks on either side, grains of riverbanks slowly and inevitably being drawn along with it. It's the spots of river people and animals like to fish at, the small bubbling waterfalls that break up an otherwise murmuring mile of water. You can take a picture, or paint a painting, or lock it into your mind, but as Toni Morrison says, there comes a point when you can fully appreciate the beauty of something without trying to capture it. When the beauty of the moment is enough. Thank you so much for listening. You can contact me at bitofarambler@gmail.com or bitofarambler on Blue Sky and Lemmy, and I'll talk to you soon.